Greetings and welcome to another edition of Todd Talk, where we take teaching theory and turn it into teaching practice. The topic for this Todd Talk is a special one. It's the first day of school. Where our school is about a week away from students entering the building and starting this new school year. And a trend I've noticed in classrooms in general as of late is on the first day of school, when I'm walking around and seeing what's going on, is that students are sitting passively at their desks while teachers are talking to them. And they may be introducing themselves, they may be going over rules, they may be going over guidelines, they may be trying to organize all of the materials that they're bringing in. But regardless, students are really passive and they're not really learning, they're just being told things. This is a concern because the first day of school is the one day of the year where every kid is excited to be there. Every kid, from your discipline problems to the ones who are not the greatest students to ones who give you so much trouble, they are excited to be there on the first day of school because there's so many possibilities. They have possibly new teachers, new classrooms. They get to see their friends again, but there's a possibility of new friends. So this idea of possibilities is something that we need to grasp onto and help students then to develop their love of learning. I mean, schools are supposed to be a place where kids go to express their love of learning. But a lot of times, because of our procedures and our rules and whatnot, that tends to get lost. And so I think it's important on the first day of school that we kind of fan the flames of this love of learning. Because every kid has it, no matter how small, but you have to start off on the right foot. So I'm going to suggest 3 things that you do on the first day or the first week of school that are going to be much better than just going over rules and procedures. Because the reality is these kids have been in school long enough that they know what the rules are. They're aware of what they are. You telling them for the 10th time is not going to make a difference whether they're going to follow them or not. So we need to make sure that we are, trying to excite kids about school. So one thing that you can do is you can do team building activities. If you happen to be on a team, or if you don't have a team, it can be class building activities. So at the beginning of the school year, we used to take our students and walk them down to the park, and then we would take part in team building activities. So we would have marshmallow fights. We would have different things where kids were kind of engaged and excited and getting to know one another. And we did icebreakers where they got to know one another. And we did, the 4 points where they had to, the 4 directions where they had to determine which direction they were, and they got to learn about one another. But basically, the idea of this is that you are building a class or a team culture. Where they're welcome, where there's going to be learning, where there are colleagues, and where they're going to be collaborating with. And so it's really important to set this off on the right foot. But if you have a class where you're not letting kids interact with one another or to be active, then they're not going to understand how the class culture, or maybe that's the class culture you want, but it shouldn't be what you want, because you want your class culture to be one where kids know that they belong, where there are people that they can work with, and where they're going to do amazing things. So the second suggestion I have is the idea of learning something really cool. So if you teach science, rather than talk to them about the year, what's going to happen in science, start off with a really cool experiment. As a social studies teacher, what I always did the first week of school is collaboration was really extremely important in my classroom, and I wanted to stress this. And so what we did at the beginning of the school year is we did a computer simulation that was called Decisions. And I put students into teams, and they had a specific role in those teams, and then they had to make decisions, and we would put those decisions into this computer simulation, and then there would be a consequence as a result of that. And we did this for the first week of school. And we talked about, we did talk about what it meant to be a good group mate, what it meant to work in groups successfully, how to collaborate with one another. But we didn't just talk about it. We put it into action. We put it into play where students were actually doing this. And for me, this week's worth of doing this activity, which was not graded, was not something that was in my standards I had to cover or anything like that, just did wonders for the rest of the school year, because then students knew how to collaborate with one another. They knew what the expectations were without me telling them. They figured them out for themselves by working in these groups and seeing what other people were doing. And so so doing that was something that was really important in my classroom. You may, if you're a language arts teacher, have them write something really, really interesting, or something that they would be excited to write about. I hate to say this one, but the stereotypical what did you do this summer? Can be something that would be exciting, because kids love to talk about themselves, and that gives them the chance to do that. If you're in math class, rather than just starting out with math problems or formulas or whatever, have them do something exciting with math, whether it be, trying to figure out math, kind of riddles or things of that nature, where they're taking their what they know about math and using it to do something fun. So by doing these activities in your classroom, something that's really cool or something that's really fun that's associated with your subject area, kids are going to discover that your subject can be very exciting. And that it can be fun, and it's not just them sitting and getting information, that they can be involved in that and what comes with that. So the last suggestion I'm going to give for you is to create. So I've already talked about creating team building or class building or creating a culture. The last one is kind of doing the team identity or your class identity. And so this year I coordinate a group of 150 students who are on a gifted team. And this year, at the beginning of the year, what we've decided to do is we are going to have students create the logo for the team. And so we're going to go over the tenets of what we believe a student in this program should have. And then we're going to let them create logos for each of these tenets, which we will use with parents, and we will use with our letterheads and for any announcements that we have. We may even make t-shirts out of them. But the idea here is that students are part of the process. They're not being told, this is what the logo is this is what you're going to be doing. They are actively involved, and they are working with one another to do this. And so by doing this, what we're hoping to do is not only get kids excited about school, but get excited about the team that they're on, and excited about the students and the teachers they're going to be working with for the next 180 days. So you see the theme of all three of these activities are that not just having students be active, that's part of it, but it's also getting them excited or stoked about learning and about being at school. And so I can't stress this enough, that this is something that we need to do with students in the first day of school. So if you have a first day of school plan where you're going to organize things or you're going to go over rules, scrap that and find an activity that they can do that's going to be exciting, and it is going to help them, be excited about the school year and about being in your classroom.